Joining us right now is Republican presidential candidate Governor Nikki Haley. Governor, thank you so much for joining us on this very important day in the primary calendar. You just heard from one Republican voter in Michigan who said that she looked into both you and Donald Trump. She likes the idea of having a female president. She said in the end, out of the two of them, Trump has a better chance. What does today mean for you and your campaign?
Well, good morning. You know, it's one of those things where I think what I've told everybody is in a general election, you're given a choice. In a primary, you make your choice. And so today, the people of Michigan are going to make their choice. We had two great events there. I wish we could have spent more time in Michigan. But, you know, it's about letting people know, do we want more of the same or do we want something different? More of the same is Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Something different is a new generational leader that puts all the negativity and baggage aside and starts focusing on the solutions of the future. We've got to stop the wasteful spending and get our economy back on track. We've got to get our kids reading again and go back to the basics in education. We have got to secure our borders. No more excuses. We need to bring law and order back to our cities, and we need a strong America that prevents wars that we can all be proud of. And that's what we're really trying to say is, look, we have seen a shift in what is happening on our political landscape. And this is not about us. This is about our kids. This is about other people's grandkids. The fact that they need to know that they can buy a home, that they can get a job, that they can make ends meet, that they don't have to worry about wars breaking out. That's what this is focused on. And right now, kids don't feel that. The younger generation doesn't feel that. They're worried. There's a reason there's a lot of anxiety, stress, and depression. And we need to start moving in a new direction to get all that moved in a good way.
You said you wished you'd spent more time in Michigan. Why didn't you?
We've been in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. So we had two great events in Michigan. We were in Minnesota. I guess we're in Minnesota now. We're headed to Colorado next. So you go and you hit as many places as you can. But look, the people of Michigan were fantastic. They are tired. They want to see something new. They want to see people work for them. And they're also worried when you look in this primary, they want someone that can serve 8 years with no drama and no vendettas. And what they also see is a shift of what's happening. Donald Trump has made this entire election about him. And what they want to know is, what are you going to do to fix things? And the way he shifted the Republican Party, he put us $8 trillion in debt in just 4 years. He's not talking about fiscal discipline at all. He's not talking about shrinking the size of government. Then he's going, and we've always been peace through strength. And now we see him walking away from our allies and instead holding hands with dictators. That's not who we are. And then you're going to go so far as the RNC. You're going to take over the RNC and make it all about just Donald Trump. And now there's a resolution to stop him from using the RNC for his own personal legal fees, and he's pitching a fit over it. That's what's wrong with this, is this has become about one man when it should be about the American people. That's what we're fighting for, is to get this back on the focus of the American people and stop it being on just one man.
And you often say that Donald Trump cannot win a general election, will not win a general election. You've not yet convinced a majority of Republican voters in primary contests that he should not win. Why not?
Well, I think you look at any of the early states. Yes, he won those. I give him that. But he did not get 40% of the Republican primary vote. You can't win a general election without the 40%. But look at the polls. The Marquette poll came out last week. I mean, in all the polls, he's down by 5. He's down by 7. Marquette had a margin of error. I defeat Joe Biden by 18 points. If we really want to turn the tide, if we really want to fix things, you go into D.C. with double digits. That's a whole change. It's more than the presidency. It's about
But if it's as simple as that, Governor, why aren't a majority of
do.
Republican primary voters seeing it?
Look, 70% of Americans have said they don't want Donald Trump or Joe Biden. I am giving them a choice. We don't anoint kings in America. We allow people to vote in elections, and that's what we've done. In the next 10 days, 21 states and territories will vote. That's a great thing about America, and I think everybody deserves competition. I am fighting for a new generational leader. I'm fighting for us to move on from the past and go forward with the future. I'm fighting for an America where families can sit down at the dinner table and not fight over politics. I'm fighting for an America where you can go to your job and say something and not worry about getting fired. I'm fighting for an America where our kids don't live in a country that's full of anger and hatred and division, and instead focus on the values that made our country so great. That's what we're trying to do. That's the focus of where we're trying to go, is to make this better for our kids. And I think our kids deserve that. They don't deserve the tone and the attitude and the division that we have in our country right now.
The tone is something I actually wanted to ask you about. There is one exit poll, one part of an exit poll, that made me scratch my head coming out of South Carolina. Donald Trump mocked your husband's military service. I was listening to your campaign event last night, and you brought that up. You said, we can take it, meaning your family, but you mock one member of the military, you're mocking every member of the military. And still, the exit poll out of South Carolina showed that Donald Trump won nearly 70% of voters who were military veterans. How do you make sense of it?
I mean, it's not up for me to make sense of what people think. It's up for me to put out an option for people to see there's a better way. I mean, that's the focus. I'm a proud military spouse. We're bonded with other military families who sacrifice every day. I mean, the fact, it says more about Donald Trump that he'll mock my husband's military service. It says more about Donald Trump that he'll call the last remaining candidate bird brain or brain dead. It says more about Donald Trump that everybody thinks it's funny that he acts this way. I don't think the rest of the world thinks that's funny. I don't think that our kids need to see someone who acts like that. I don't think our kids need to see us going down this fiscal cliff that we're seeing, where we're paying more money in interest than we are in our defense budget. Or the fact that when we had a chance to secure the border last week, instead of Congress going in and strengthening that law, Donald Trump said don't pass anything until the general election. We can't wait one more day to pass a strong border bill. These are things that matter. These are things that affect American families. And what we're trying to do is say, look, you have a choice. And in a primary, you make your choice. That's what we hope the people of Michigan do today. That's what we're focused on the Super Tuesday states going forward. I'm not going to stop when 70% of Americans say they don't want Donald Trump or Joe Biden. We're going to give them an option. That's what we do in America. That's the beautiful part of our country, and that's why we're going to keep on fighting.
You have remained disciplined in not defining, really anyone in your campaign, defining what a win looks like in any particular contest in these early states. Will you define what a loss looks like for you in Michigan, how your team is measuring this?
I will continue to say our goal is to be competitive. It's always been to be competitive. And if you're getting 40% in all the early states, that's making a point. That's making a point that, look, we are telling you, for all the Republican Party, we are in a ship with a hole in it. You can either ignore the hole and go down with the ship, or you can acknowledge that we've got to look for a life raft. I am telling you, there will be a female president of the United States. It will either be me or it will be Kamala Harris. If Donald Trump is the Republican nominee, we will see a President Kamala Harris. There's a reason the Democrats are salivating at the thought of Donald Trump, because they look at it and they know anybody could beat Donald Trump. But I know the fact is we've got to make sure not only do Republicans win, but it's about turning our country in a new direction. It's a direction that's healthy. It's a direction that's exciting. It's a direction that goes and builds up our economy and secures our borders and makes sure that we're safe again. It's a direction that allows our kids to start reading and focus on the basics in education, and a direction where they know they're going to have a job and be able to buy a home. Those things matter to every American family, and that's what I'm going to continue to fight for.
The fight continues. You definitely make that clear and have. Your pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee, what does that look like if the nominee is not you? What does that support look like? Does it include campaigning for that person?
Well, I mean, the difference is when you are in the middle of a campaign, you don't think about anything beyond the campaign. You think about the state that you're in today. You think about what you're going to do tomorrow. So I realize everybody else wants to fast forward. That's not what I do. I focus on the day. I focus on the time. I focus on being in the moment. And that's what we're doing right now. What I will tell you is I have long said I have serious concerns about Donald Trump. I have even more concerns about Joe Biden. But I don't think either one should be president. And that's why I'm running. And so I'm going to continue to run as long as Americans say they want a choice, as long as Americans say they want someone to vote for. I am going to continue to do that. And what a blessing it is in America that we can. This is not Russia where you've got a dictator that goes and kills his political opponents. This is America where people can have their voices heard. This is America where you can go and be anything you want to be without anyone getting in the way. This is America that was built on faith, family, and country. That's what I'm trying to do, is get us to remember our purpose, get us to remember who we are as Americans in the first place. Not a divided country, not a divided party, not a country sitting in anger, but one sitting in hope and energy and saying that we're going to do this for our kids. That's what I'm going to keep fighting for. I'm not going to think about what's going to happen 10 days, 2 months, 3 months from now.
Governor Nikki Haley, Republican presidential candidate. It's always good to have you on. Good luck today in Michigan. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Go to NikkiHaley.com.
John.
Good discussion. A huge